Hello. New book. Actually, very new book. Just came out a few months ago. Heavenly Tyrant by Xiran Jay Zhao. So that's the closest I could get for the pronunciation. I did actually look up the pronunciation of their name before I came live. That's the closest I can get. I apologize for mispronunciations here. I am exceptionally monolingual. I speak only English. So I try to pronounce words correctly, names correctly, but anyway, so yeah, Heavenly Tyrant. This is the sequel to Iron Widow, which I have reviewed on my channel before. I'll throw a link to that in the description. This is the second part of a trilogy. I think it was originally planned as a duology, originally signed as a duology at least, but then it got extended to trilogy. So it is a mecha book. May as well mention as well the full cover. Very nice cover, by the way. Ashley McKenzie did the cover, and it's gorgeous. So, yeah, so it is. It's about people and giant robots fighting fighting giant insects. That's sort of the basics. It is a mecha story. So here's an example of one of the mechas. One of the mechas. So yeah, it's got like a normal form, and then another form, and then another form. Another one. Third one. There are plenty others who appear in the book, but don't get illustrations. At least not for this one. So, the protagonist is a woman by the name of Wu Zetian. She is inspired by Empress Regnant Wu, who was a real figure from Chinese history. She took over as Empress. Song Dynasty, I think. Yeah. The historical one, initially, she first was regent for ruling through her sons, and then she just became empress, just ruling on her own. So the main character is inspired by her, and a lot of stuff is inspired by China and Chinese history. They're from Kingdom of Huaxia. I think it's pronounced something like that. And it's basically just China. There's a Great Wall. It's got provinces like Zhou and Han. Named after real Chinese provinces. Multiple characters are named after characters from Chinese history. So like there's people like Sima Yi and Zhuge Liang, who are named after characters from people from Three Kingdoms, China. Um, and people from, you know, figures named after other people from Chinese history as well. Um, so yeah, Zhao does take a lot of inspiration from Chinese history. That said, um, it is just inspiration. It should not be taken as literal. Uh, they do have some acknowledgments of like their acknowledgement page, so that goes into that a little bit. So this book is about revolution. It does get really political, exceptionally political. And kind of optimistically so at times. It's sort of like I mean, they acknowledge that that no real revolution would ever play out the way this one does, but they do have definitely a very I don't know, idealized approach to it, to a certain extent. Bit of realism and thrown in as well. Anyway, so yeah, the idea is that in the previous book, the old government was, I mean, destroyed. Actually, I'll try not to spoil anything for the first book, but yeah, events from the end of the first book lead to a major revolution with an emperor who was thought long gone coming back and taking over the government. And he was sort of a revolutionary in his time, and he sort of continues his revolution here with this main character, Wu Zetian, being very much having very mixed feelings because like there's a lot of stuff that she supports, but she's also terrified of him. So yeah, it gets really into politics. A lot of stuff on laborism. A lot of time spent on laborism and laborist philosophies. There is a rebellion, so it gets into how to fight a rebellion that is trying to restore the old order. And the brutal ways that a government, because it is still kind of a tyrannical government in a lot of ways. Yeah, sort of the brutal ways that the government tries to deal with both corrupt members of the old order and dealing with the rebellion against the revolution. That really does make up the main plot. And at the same time, it does sort of show the ways that the revolution has improved things for a lot of people. Zetian spends a lot of time trying to find ways to improve the lot for women. Because again, drawing on Chinese history, Wu Zetian had bound feet and had a lot of other shit against her. So she wants to, because that was sort of common for anyone who wanted to marry a woman to someone wealthier. So she's trying to improve things for women. And at the same time, there's also trying to figure out ways to... They want to fight the gods. Zetian and the Emperor, they want to go after the gods, which is pretty ambitious. So the main plot, there's sort of three different main stories all woven together. There is Zetian trying to deal with the new emperor. There is the revolution, and there is the emperor and Zetian trying to make plans to attack the gods. And all sorts of other little things going on as well. It's not as good as the first book. I will say that it's not quite as good as the first book. It's still good. I still enjoyed it. But it's not quite as good as the first book. It gets bogged down with a lot of stuff. The revolutionary stuff, again, like, it's cool, but at times it drags a little bit. One thing, in the first book, Zetian was part of an actual love triangle. As in, it was a polycule. Her and two guys who were all in love with each other. In this book, so that was like a sort of a major thing in the first book. In this one of the guys is pretty much completely absent. And another one has his role significantly reduced. Instead, the main focus is on her relationship with the Emperor. And it's a very complicated and very fraught relationship where they do challenge each other a lot. She does challenge him, but at the same time, she's aware of the fact that he can have her killed at any time for any reason. So she has to sort of deal with that fear. The fact that she's always going to have to be cautious around him. I did mention that the two guys she was in love with were in love with each other. While that doesn't really carry on here, there is still queer content. There's a couple of prominent supporting characters who are women who are very clearly lesbians, very clearly gay. And that actually kind of plays into the revolution stuff again. Prose is really good. It is written first person. And for the most part, the prose is solid. I suppose I'll read a brief passage just to give you an indication of the prose. So, oh, do not flatter yourself, he says. I find you far too mentally childish and physically repulsive to have any carnal interest in you. This arrangement shall be strictly political. My grip on my covers loosens. There's indeed no lust in his eyes, just cold calculation, which is preferable in this moment, but much more unpredictable in the long run. Listen, he puts a hand near me. I am aware you wish to take the throne for yourself. It was amusing to watch, and I understand the feeling of invulnerability the Yellow Dragon can confer. But it was a foolish, impulsive move that would have brought you to a very quick end. However, I am not one to dismantle the bridge that let me cross the river, so to speak, and it would be a shame to let you perish when you have almost as much raw piloting talent as my 9-year-old self. So I am saving your life from the considerable number of calls for your death. Considerable number, I feign shock. For what reason? It's not that I'm surprised, but I'd like to know what exactly they're saying to him. You are not liked. He peers at me with a mix of pity and amusement. They tell me you are vulgar, dangerous, bloodthirsty, self-absorbed, manipulative, and an all-around affront to sensibility. What do you have to say for yourself, Wu Zetian? I fold my arms over my chest. No point denying any of that when he's been inside my head. Yes, that's pretty much who I am. Still want to marry me, your majesty? I say it like a challenge. I don't believe he's saving me out of gratitude. Out of gratitude. He has other plans for me. Probably to use me as a steady co-pilot to kill more Hunduns en masse. The thought makes my stomach turn, but I need to ensure my survival before worrying about issues beyond me. If this marriage proposal is in name only, I have more to gain from accepting it than being squeamish. Yeah. So just to give you an indication of the pros. So it is generally good. It is generally really good. The action scenes are described really well. I do like the battles. Those are described well. Plenty of emotional stuff. Some sex stuff. Including a pegging scene that had a paragraph missing. Apparently, this edition of the book was printed with a slight error. Few lines of text were missing. Not much, just like I said, like a paragraph's worth. That was missing. That led to some people being a little confused by what was going on. Apparently, future versions of it will have will be corrected to include it, and Zhao did also include a correction on the Goodreads page, actually, probably other places. Also, audiobook is not going to be updated, so if you prefer to read books through the audiobook, then that bit will not be corrected in if you do end up reading it that way. Anywho. Like I said, there is definitely still a lot to enjoy. It's classed as YA, young adult. It is very much on the older end of the young adult spectrum. More the adult part than the young part for various reasons. Not just that sex scene, but also there's a lot of mature content. Again, revolutions get bloody. And Natian has some blood on her hands that haunts her a little bit. So there's some nightmare sequences that get pretty, have some pretty disturbing imagery. So young adult, but very much more the adult side of it. Like I said, it has some minor problems. It has some minor flaws. But on the whole, I did still enjoy it. It is still a good book. Definitely recommend. I definitely recommend Iron Widow. That one's very good. And if you like Iron Widow, you may as well move on to Heavenly Tyrant and read this one as well. I definitely recommend it. One other thing to note, I've been saying they throughout. Zhao does use they them pronouns, so that's why I've been using those pronouns. They are Chinese and Canadian, born in China, but immigrated to BC when they were still young. So, Canadian. Yay, Canadian author. Always love a good Canadian author. The next book I read is going to be graphic novel Greatest Thing by Sarah Winifred Searle. So this will be the next thing I read. By the time I have this review video posted, I will already have read this and have the review recorded and like ready to go up. But I will be reading this next, and then after this, I'm going to start in on a book about the history of India. So that one I doubt will get finished before I do the review for The Greatest Thing, but that's the next thing I read. I just figured I'd mention that's the next thing I'm reading. All right, let's see, Heavenly Tyrant by Xiran Jay Zhao. Again, I apologize for my very, very white pronunciation. So that'll do for this review, and I'll see you in another video. So thanks for watching.